About Rajab, Ahmad narrates in his Musnad as well as Abu Dawud that a man came to the Prophet ﷺ and then he wasn't seen until the next year. When he came back, he had taken a change for the worse. He was emaciated. He said, "O Messenger of Allah, don't you know me?" He said, "And who are you?" He replied, "I'm that Bahili man that came to you last year." He said, "So what happened to you? You used to look so decent." He said, "I haven't eaten any food since I last saw you except at night." The Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, "So why did you punish yourself? Fast a month of patience and 1 day from every month." The man replied, "Give me more, I have strength." He replied, "Then fast 2 days." He said, "Increase me." Then fast 3 days. He said, "Increase me." He said, "Then fast the sacred months or don't. Fast the sacred months or don't. Fast the sacred months or don't." He then gathered his 3 fingers in his other hand and he released them. This is the only authentic hadith where fasting Rajab can be inferred directly. The purported hadith, Rajab is God's month, Sha'ban is mine, and Ramadan is my ummah's, is rejected and borderline fabricated. Aside from Rajab being from the sacred months, there's nothing authentically narrated about its virtue, special days, prayers, or actions. Does this mean that you shouldn't do anything on Rajab? No, absolutely not. But what it does mean is that you sanctify the entire month with general acts of goodness, as is the Sunnah for this month and all of the 4 sacred months, and not rely on false fabricated attributions of specific acts and events. Ibn Hajar rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, "There's nothing about the virtue of the month of Ramadan, fasting its entirety, in part, or special night prayers, not a single authentic hadith that holds up to scrutiny. As for the hadith narrated about Rajab's virtue specifically, or fasting it specifically, or days from it specifically, there are only 2 types of hadith on this subject, weak and fabricated." Now this is from Ibn Hajar, who accepts weak hadith and acts of virtue. For him to say this means that these narrations about Rajab don't meet the lowest threshold for acceptability. So allow me to reiterate, what do you do in Rajab? This means you're left with general guidance to do any good deed in this month. I know having someone tell you, do this and you'll get that, gives you the warm and fuzzies, but you need to develop a healthy, consistent, and informed spiritual practice instead of banking on one-time special events. Why is this important? Because we're very close to Ramadan. So you have to start acclimating your body to fasting, standing up in prayer before bedtime, cutting back on things that have been holding you back. So treat Rajab as your warm-up, Sha'ban as practice, and Ramadan as a race against yourself that you are destined to win.